if you look at America and you look at the strongest men, you know, in the military, what do? We're shipping them off overseas every generation, you know? So it's like the men that are here right now, it's almost like we're at this place of not understanding kind of our role as what we're supposed to be doing in the world that we're living in. You know, we obviously know we're supposed to be providing, but I think it's something that needs to be bigger than that. I think it's on us to defend the children. It's on us to be voices for God. It's on us to step out into faith and then declare some things are wrong. You know, in the school board meetings, it shouldn't just be moms in the school board meetings. It should be parents. It should be fathers. You know, and it's on us to lead our children into the deeper things of God and have a relationship with God and teaching them the values of God, as well as it's on the men to lead their family to church. I think there's a study that says like children are 90% more likely to come to the faith of Christ if their father is the one that brings them to church and leads the family to church. And like, that's just incredible. That just shows the power of the man in the family. And it really goes down to the family unit. You know, and it seems like that once we get that kind of figured out and that situated, America could be in a place of thriving again. But right now it seems like we're on a decline because of the family unit falling apart. And is that something that you see very often in your business, as far as like the people that are coming to you have kind of a poor relationship with the man in their life, or there's been some family dynamic or dysfunction that has fallen apart because of the man's role not being fulfilled?
Yeah, most of the men that I meet with, whatever their current day issues are, they can 90% of the time we're tying them back to some sort of father wound. And no dad is perfect. So I need everybody to hear that. Every dad is going to fail, quote unquote, at some level. And so you're going to wound your kids. Like, it's just inevitable. It's what you do about it. Back to the resilience thing, that really makes a difference. So yeah, most of the struggles, especially in men, come from father wounds. But one hopeful thing that I've noticed is when I'm working with adolescents, probably 75% of the time, I can predict whether or not the kid is going to turn the corner and grow really quickly, or is going to stay pretty much in the same problematic place that he's in. And the difference most of the time is the dad is the main point of contact. When the kid is, if I can predict that, if I see that, I can predict that the kid is actually going to make a quick and pretty dramatic turnaround. If the dad is not so involved for whatever reason, then most often, and again, sometimes there's exceptions, but most often, the son doesn't really do a whole lot of changing. And there's something to that, where if a son knows that his dad cares about him enough to be involved in the details and to actually show that, hey, I see you, you're special to me, you're worth this quote unquote hassle of working with you through this time period, man, that makes a difference on a level that we just can't research. We just have to see it with our eyes.
I love that you say that. That's so cool. When you have to see something with your eyes and not research, that hits, man. That hits a lot. And so with men specifically, and boys, and just society as a whole right now, the human experience, I should say, how valuable is having purpose in their life, as well as how valuable is having a good tribe that you can rely on and that can be there for you, that you can turn to in a time of need? What are those dynamics that can lead to a healthy generation?
A tribe is essential. And I use the word tribe, and you can use other words, like you need a group, you need friends, you need to know who you belong around, who you're accepted around, whatever kind of vernacular you want to put on that. But if you don't have that, then all kinds of unanswered questions happen inside of you. And this is men or women. So we have to have that. And we have to also realize that we can't get our identity from them, whoever our group is, whether it's a healthy group or a group that's leading us down a wrong path. Because if I'm looking to my friends to figure out who I am, then I may have some qualities that are actually true to me, but then I'm probably going to miss a lot of my unique qualities. So for example, in a sport, a team sport, there are still individual positions that each team member has to play. So like, I'm a big baseball guy, and I played center field growing up. So like, yeah, baseball is a team sport, but I'm going out there in center field and nobody's out there but me. So I've got to bring my unique gifts and talents and personality traits to that position, just like the catcher is bringing a totally different set of skills and traits to his position. So we need a group, but we can't get lost in that group. We can't hide in that group, because that's another tendency that men have, is that when life gets tough, we just don't feel like anybody really cares that we're going through it. Anybody really is going to have a whole lot of sympathy for us. But the main thing is, we think, well, I'm going to look weak if I say that I'm going through something. So we tend to just hide. So a lot of times men will take an otherwise healthy thing like a tribe and find a group or a tribe that they can just kind of fade into the background and just become like everybody else. Like, well, I just want to be one of the guys.
Right.
I just want to be like them. Like, well, I get it. I fully get it, because we want that acceptance, and because two things can be true at once. I get it because we want acceptance, and you weren't meant to be like everybody else. You were meant to be you, specifically, uniquely you. And sometimes you have to actually step out and stand out from that crowd to step into the purpose you were designed to fulfill. And that takes us to the purpose.
Right. I was just going to say that.
Yeah, exactly. That back to that thing we were saying about everybody needs a mission or a battle that they know they're fighting in their life, preferably multiple. Because if you don't have something like that in your life, you're just waking up in the morning and you're just doing the same thing you did yesterday and the day before that. And eventually you just kind of, at the best, you get bored. And at the worst, it leads to some pretty dark thoughts and dark places. But we have to know and believe it deep down that we're born, we're created on purpose for a purpose. So you're not an accident. You're here on purpose, and you have a purpose for your life. And it's not like something that's, people hear that word purpose sometimes and they think, well, I better hit it 100%. And if I don't get it 100%, I've totally missed my purpose. No, relax, because your purpose can ultimately change and shift as you go through different seasons of life. But it can start with your faith. If you're a believer in Jesus, your overall purpose is to spread his presence, his glory, wherever you go. And you can do that at work. You can do that in your family. You can do that in your sport, your roommates, whatever the situation is. That's your ultimate purpose. And then you can kind of have little micro purposes. So for me, one of my micro purposes is I can help people with their mindset, their mental health, their emotions. So if I were to change jobs, would that mean I've lost my purpose? Of course not. It just means that I'm going to work my purpose out in a different kind of way. But we got to know you're here on purpose. You're here for a purpose. And if you start pursuing that, you'll start to feel the emotions you want to feel. And we can get into that as well. But that's one of the traps that men fall into, is we feel emotions we don't want to feel. We have thoughts we don't want to have. And we don't realize that, let's check my tribe and let's check my purpose and see, are those things aligning into what I want?
Man, that is so interesting. And I'll speak on both of those things. Then I'd love to dive into the feelings and emotions and thoughts aspect of it, especially with men, because your boy has a hard time regulating my own emotions. So let's talk about that if we need to.
Join the club, brother.
Yeah, right. I can't even, like with my children, I was talking to our previous guest, Dr. John Deloney, about that. I was like, yo, when my kids have a moment, and their emotions are high, like it makes my emotions high, and I don't even know how to handle them and whatnot. But in regards to the purpose and tribe, I really believe that this is for somebody out there. For some reason, the Lord's kind of putting it on my heart that it's when you talk about faith, and I love that because it starts there, because that kind of gives you the new identity that you may not have had before, or it might give some clarity to the confusion as to what you're doing here, why you're here, who you're supposed to be serving, who you're supposed to be loving, who you're supposed to be waking up for. It's like God gives sleep to the ones he loves. It says that in Psalms, and God gives breath to the one he loves every morning. Every day is like a gift. It's not promised, that's for sure. So it's like we have an opportunity to live for a higher purpose, something bigger than us. And I think once we kind of zoom out of our own little, our own life, and we realize man, this is such a bigger picture of humanity, of people and of love and all these other things, we get to really see that all right, relax. It's not all on your shoulders to have your career figured out at 32. It's not all on you to be able to have the perfect wife and the perfect life at 28. It's like there's once you start surrendering that the way your life is going to be to the hands of the Lord, that's when I feel like you're able to live in a purpose, because he reveals things to you throughout that journey. He reveals, at first it started as a podcast, Then it was like a book. And then it was like, let's start speaking. Then it was, let's go to Africa. It was like God started opening up more and more doors once the original purpose got formed, you know, for me. And that was something that I feel has been so helpful in kind of bringing the tribe here, because there was a lot of the beginning, you know, a couple years of where I've been on this path with Christ started in, I don't want to say isolation, but more so like I was in an RV journey. I was working from home a lot. It was COVID time. A lot of that was isolation until like I lived in the purpose long enough for God to start sending me people. So you might not find the tribe right away, but I believe if you found the purpose first, that good tribe will come. God will send you the people that need to be in your tribe.
Thank you so much for supporting our YouTube channel. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe and smash that like button. If you would like to see another short clip from this episode, you can do so here. Or if you want to see the full conversation, you can do so here. And make sure you subscribe on Patreon. If you'd like to partner with us, you can do that. The link in the description of this video. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.